What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. Now, with this video, we are jumping into Justice League Dark, the 2021 annual. Now, if you haven't been keeping up with this line, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It's gonna get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with the Justice League Dark, and you'll find it in the back of the Justice League issue. Now, I have been clamoring for quite some time that Justice League Dark, it needs its own line, because just having a couple of pages in the back of Justice League has not been doing this story any kind of justice. With Merlin making his arrival, with him conquering many things magical, it appears that he is trying to gather as much magic as possible. And so our story is going to take us with Justice League Dark regrouping after their failure with the attack on Atlantis. And so with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue of Justice League Dark, we are picking up with a vision. Dr. Fate letting us all know that if Merlin continues down the path he is going, we will see the ultimate destruction of the Tower of Fate. And when that tower falls, when Merlin lifts his hands and the lightning bolt comes down and shatters the tower into two pieces, that is when magic, all magic, will belong to Merlin. And Dr. Fate, he has seen this through the helm. This event, it hasn't happened yet, but this event, it will happen. Now, right now, they are all licking their wounds from what happened, still afraid after what Merlin did down in Atlantis. Not only that, the darkness that is inside of Zatanna, it has been hiding down in there, and it almost undid all of Justice League Dark. Now, Dr. Fate, he is not sure how he is getting these visions. Something or someone is communicating with him, letting him know of the events that are going to transpire. But what he does know is that these are warnings, and they, whoever is sending it, are desperate. Now, this is where Wonder Woman plays her part in this story, and she lets us know that she knows exactly who is channeling through the helm. Because when Dr. Fate had sent her to help down in Atlantis, this is when she summoned Wonder Woman, traveling through the portals that Dr. Fate created. It sometimes feels like a dream, and so it took her a couple of moments to realize that this was not a dream, that she had been transported somewhere. Now, she had heard rumors in the sphere of the gods that there are places that become murky and tangled, places one should not be able to find. Some say gods are born of their myths, and many myths were shared with cultures and traded, battled with each other, so on and so forth. It is known that the Romans and the Greeks, they shared gods, but some of those same myths also bleed into Egypt. And so this is a place kind of between realms, where old mythologies, old gods go to die. Ones forgotten about, people never talk about anymore, a forgotten realm of forgotten gods. Now, as she makes her way up this staircase, noticing that the architecture is a mixture of multiple cultures, this is where from the temple, a giant monster comes out. And right now, this monster is feasting on all of the prison guards around him, with Wonder Woman jumping into action, trying to subdue this beast. She honestly couldn't say what she is battling. Not sure if she is grabbing talons, not sure if she is grabbing wings, not sure of anything on this monster, only recognizing that it is immensely powerful. So powerful that it takes Wonder Woman and it slams her down into the ground. It puts her down for a good minute, and this monster goes about his business, goes about its day. And with Wonder Woman getting to her feet, a shadowy figure just off in the distance inside of this temple, inside of this cave-like system, we learn that that god's name, that beast, that monster's name is Typhon. As the stories demand it, he has been the son of Gaia, the world, and Tartarus the abyss. He has been the son of Hera alone, perhaps the son of Ge, the earth, and Nut the sky. He has been a serpentine giant who strove to wrestle the universe from Zeus. His story having such a great mixture of everything, it has driven the monster quite mad. Now Wonder Woman tells this individual to come out from hiding and declare who you are, them saying that they are infinity, space and time given a gentle form, revealing itself to be Ha-Het. And she lets Wonder Woman know that she has no concern of Typhon, because he is merely a symptom to the true problem that is going on here. Usually Typhon, he's kept subdued from his anguish of knowing his own half-being. He is calmed with a potion known as the Waters of Forgetting, but having only a small amount left in all of the sphere of the gods. There is not enough to keep this beast subdued, and because of that, we see the god monster laying waste to anything that comes in front of him. And what's left of the Waters of Forgetting, it has been stolen. It has been stolen by a magician. Merlin came here and he stole this from the gods, wielding the jewel which consumes magic even in the realm of the gods, where all things are magic. Now Wonder Woman, she was not brought here so that she could stop Merlin in what he just did. This was meant to be a warning, to warn of what Merlin is truly capable of, because should he carry out his intentions on Earth, the repercussions will ripple through all of the realms, through eternity itself. And she has done her best to send warnings to Dr. Fate, but it doesn't seem that he is understanding the urgency of the situation at hand. And so with Wonder Woman bearing witness to what might happen, to what will transpire throughout all existence, that the tower will fall, but Merlin must not be allowed to assemble his knights. Not only that, he will also come for the helm to tell Dr. Fate of what is to come, and that's where she finds herself being cast into the waters, floating above Atlantis after the battle that Justice League Dark has with Merlin. Now this is great for Dr. Fate to learn, that it is in fact Ha-Het that is inside the helm, giving him any kind of guidance, giving him warnings. But Wonder Woman is still a little bit skeptical on this, seeming to not really have everything together, not being cold, not being calculated, not being an individual of order. Wonder Woman is not sure what is currently driving her. Now the question is, why did Merlin go into the sphere of the gods to take the Waters of Forgetting? And how does this play into the Tower of Fate and its destruction? Now Jason Blood, he lets us know that he has known Merlin for a couple hundred years now, and he fears that they have been hundreds of steps behind, and that he simply hasn't even begun to reveal his overall plan. And mid-discussion, this is when we are introduced to Mr. Singh. Now we have seen him throughout the Justice League comics. Batman went and rescued him so that he could help Justice League Dark. And Singh has a very unique perspective, because when Jason was brought into this world again, when he was brought back to this plane, this is when Singh saw Merlin's plan. Because Jason Blood, he was gone. Him and Etrigan both cleaved and at peace. And Singh was very happy for them. Happy for the both of them. Etrigan returning to hell where he is meant to be, and Jason Blood finally receiving his eternal reward in paradise. Because while they never really talked about it, he could only imagine the anguish that Jason Blood went through having a demon tied to him. But after all of those years, that torment, it is finally over. Now Singh had never slept well. Being a psychic, all of the thoughts of everybody always creeping in. Sometimes sleep being one of the few things that drowns everything out. But the night that Jason Todd went up to heaven and Etrigan went back down to hell, he had never slept so great in his life. Slept knowing that their world was at least a marginally better place for all of the work that they had done. And his ascension into heaven was more than proof of that. But then Jason Blood comes back. Him and Etrigan reforged and reconnected. And this absolutely terrified Singh, because no one can be forced to leave heaven. And so for both Etrigan and Jason Blood to be returned heaven and hell must have found a common goal, a bloody enough goal that they needed a conjoined agent, and they must have offered something desirable enough that he would trade paradise for torment. And that's when Singh stopped sleeping altogether. The fact that he did not seek out Singh after his return shows Singh enough that there is something shameful in the deal that they made. Everything good that they have done, the battles that they fought, the anguish weathered, it all felt completely undone to him. And he thought to himself, what could be so terrible that those above and below would unite to return Merlin's own demonic half-brother to the mortal realm? Perhaps Merlin himself could tell him, he hoped. He could sense his return to Earth as well, and so sending out his astral form crossing over the entire world, he finds Merlin meditating atop a mountain in deep meditation. He had long been gone from Earth, and he was overjoyed to see his old friend, but something stayed him from making his presence known. As he approaches Merlin, he can tell that there is something different. There is something missing from Merlin. And so, taking precaution, he thought he would check his mindscape. Be invited in once before, being allowed to play chess with him, he thought he would go in, check, and see what is going on with him. But going into this mindscape, he finds something completely new, something that he has never seen before. And what we get a glimpse of is what appears to be Darkseid's father. And this is when he learns something happened to Merlin, to his mind and to his soul. This is not the man that he once called friend, but instead someone with very dark designs, finding himself in a labyrinth of walls, knowing he has to escape before Merlin finds him. Unable to make that escape, Merlin locates him, telling him that he should have never been here, stuck inside this labyrinth with no escape. And so with him learning this information, Merlin sends his agents after Singh. They kidnap him, they drug him, and they fracture his mind into pieces. He had touched Merlin's mind. This plan had already been forming in it before he thought of anything specific, being stuck in a private realm of cruel and fractured delusions. This is something he wishes to do to the entire planet. Singh was nothing more than a guinea pig to test and see how this would do. Now, what Jason gets from all of this is that Singh mistrusted him so much that he would go looking in the mind of Merlin instead of coming and talking to him. But Singh has to ask, what offer were you given from heaven? What offer were you given to leave your eternal happiness? Now, of course, he doesn't really want to talk about this. He doesn't want to bring it up, saying it's not fair that he asked that question. Constantine, he's over here just getting hammered drunk. And that is because he just sensed the presence of someone he wants to rip the freaking head off of. And that is Mr. E. Now, Mr. E has come to Satana, saying that he has information that he wants to offer up. Now, Constantine doesn't want him here, not even a single bit. The universe banished him to the end of time and space for bad behavior, with Constantine still being very upset about the infanticide that he tried to commit right in front of Constantine. Now, Mr. E, he says that they could go into arguing the real philosophical aspects of killing Hitler as a baby, but really he wants to get to the point of why he is here. And after some little banter going back and forth, we really get to the point. And so he lets everyone know the information that he has seen, because Constantine, he was right about one thing. He was banished to the end. And being banished all the way to the end of time, he decided that he was going to start walking backwards, walk back into the now, and walking back through time, saying it's rather awe-inspiring way to experience the universe, even for a blind man, feeling the heat death of strange universes cooling around him, swept along the stars that were unburnt, as black holes folded outward, attempting to push him off course. And as he traveled through all of this, worrying that he might not ever get there, that is, until he came upon a passage, the towering remains of the Source Wall. It once kept this universe separated from the Omniverse no longer. The corpses of giants are still prevailing in this place. Those who in the past attempted to cross the wall and instead found themselves drawn into it, woven into its fabric. And sitting out here observing all of this, he hears a scream. Having little idea of what he was hearing, he began to walk backwards through it. And this is where he sees Merlin and Yuga Khan, the father of Darkseid. Now, it took him a minute to understand what was being said because everything is happening in reverse. But what appears to be happening is something is getting taken out of Merlin, saying that he does not have it in him to be cruel enough to prepare the earth for what is to come. And so he is going to show him the cruelness. He is going to make him as cruel as he possibly can, because there is a darkness coming to this universe, a great and terrible thing that can and must be stopped. Now, we've seen some of this transpire in Infinite Frontier. If I am getting this correctly, the darkness that Darkseid has been trying to harness all of this time on Earth Omega, with his Omega Lantern and all of that stuff, saying this new power is coming to him, this new darkness that he is going to be able to wield on the Omniverse. And might very well be possible that Darkseid's father is trying to prepare the Earth for what is about to happen, preparing everybody for the darkness's arrival. Now, Mr. E, he was lucky enough not to be seen in all of this endeavor, but what we really saw was Merlin having part of his soul removed from his body. And so this is not the Merlin that everyone knows. This is a Merlin that is literally missing half of his soul. And Mr. E, he doesn't really care if anybody believes him. He came here to give a warning. But Mr. E, he worries that Justice League Dark is not going to be up to the task, saying that this is all this Earth has to offer, having the only real magician be Zatanna, and even then she has the Upside Down attached to her soul. So what real choice do they have? What are they going to do moving forward? And Mr. E, he makes his exit. Now, this kind of breaks up the entire meeting, everyone going off in their own directions, Constantine being absolutely livid, Jason Blood, he doesn't even know what to do with most of this information. And Detective Chimp, he's sitting there looking at the glass that Mr. E was drinking out of, because that glass had been empty when Mr. E drank out of it. When he set it down on the table, it is now full of whiskey. And so Detective Chimp, he is completely perplexed on what just happened here, wondering if that means that the drink was never drunk, or has it been undrunk? And so with everyone going their different directions, Constantine having a bottle, laying in bed, Jason Blood really contemplating everything that he has learned, Detective Chimp staring at that whiskey glass trying to figure out what the freak just happened, wondering why nobody else is freaking out over what they just saw. He seems to be the only one completely enthralled in figuring this out. But with everyone out doing their own thing, we see Zatanna and Dr. Fate, Mr. E coming back into the room, saying that he wanted to have a discussion more in private, not with everyone around, because what he has to offer up, he is going to have to make a trade. And he's probably sure that Constantine and the others, they would not be on board with what is about to go on, with what transaction is about to happen. Now, what Mr. E has is the other part of Merlin's soul. While he was going backwards through time, he was able to grab it, at first not understanding what he had in his possession. As he ventured backwards in time, he learned very quickly that this was the soul of Merlin, or at least half the soul of Merlin, the innocence of Merlin, the part that makes him joyful, happy, the good part of him. Only left over is the cruel, experienced, hardened individual that Merlin has become over all of these years. Lacking any innocence, any happiness, we are seeing a much different Merlin than anyone has ever met. But having that with him and having it safe kept, now knowing what it is and how they can use it to help Merlin out, he wants to make a trade with Zatanna, and he wants to offer up some kind of deal. That deal is the ruby that Merlin has been carrying around his neck, the one that has been absorbing all of this magical power. Now, both Dr. Fate and Zatanna, they know exactly how powerful this ruby is. The question is, can they really trust him, and where would this soul be to keep it safe placed? And that place is with him removing his glasses inside his eye socket, his soul being one of his eyes. And he knows exactly what is held inside of this soul. He knows for a fact it is the innocence of Merlin, because that is all he has been seeing as he's traveled through time. At least all he's been seeing through this eye. Now, Dr. Fate lets Zatanna know that when dealing with a soul, that usually doesn't end well. Now, of course, this is usually referring to demons, believing that maybe this time it's a little bit different because we're trying to free this soul and not keep it. Now, Mr. E tells Dr. Fate that the Tower of Fate is going to fall. That's not up for debate any longer. The question is, where will you be? What will you do then? With Zatanna saying that it's a deal, going out to shake his hand. He takes out a knife, he cuts her palm, and he says, let's make it a blood pact, something that cannot be undone. And so him popping out the eye, popping out the half soul of Merlin, he hands it over and he says, thank you for doing business. Now, Zatanna, she is not dumb. She understands the potential of Mr. E having that magical power. And if he has that ruby, he could easily come for them. He could come for all magic wielders. But now, they at least have something. They can deal with Mr. E as that problem comes along. But right now, they need to try to fix Merlin. They need to try to bring him back. Try to reunite him with his other half. With Dr. Fate worrying that this is a very bad idea on a fool's errand, placing all of their hope in a child's hope. But that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. You know, this is exactly what Justice League Dark has been needing this entire time. I only wish we would get an ongoing series that covers all of this, because it truly is an amazing story. It's a lot of fun. It includes a lot of our Justice League Dark favorite characters. We got Dr. Fate, we got Zatanna, we got Detective Chimp, you know, we got Constantine, Etrigan, Jason Blood, you know, that's the same person, but still, at the end of the day, we have all of these amazing characters coming together. Ragman's in there, Wonder Woman's now in there. You know, Mr. E is being brought into the queue. We have Darkseid's father who's been brought in. Really, it's just loaded with so many awesome characters, but it's introducing them in such fun and awesome ways. Not only that, it's including what's going on, or what was going on, in Infinite Frontier. Now, we've been moving forward with that story a little bit with Justice League Incarnate, which we will still be covering. I just haven't got to it yet. But Justice League Incarnate, they have been going around the Omniverse trying to track down Darkseid. Darkseid this whole time trying to find the crack so that he can somehow harness this darkness and use it against the Omniverse. And so it's very likely later on down the line, we are going to see the Justice League Dark interacting in some way, shape, or form with Justice League Incarnate and trying to take down Darkseid. At least that's my prediction. That is my hope for where the story might be heading. But this was a much needed issue to really push this story forward and find out where this is going. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.